Welcome to another episode of Moving Forward Talk with Diana. Today we have Mr. Hopton Henry all the way from Finland, taking time out of his schedule, which is about 3 a.m. in the morning for him, to share his journey as a motivational tool to motivate others to shape their future without putting limitation on their capability to do so. It's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry, share with us your background.
Yes, Ms. Clark. It's a pleasure being here with you. Let's say, growing up as a child was fun. I grew up in the countryside of St. Elizabeth in the parish of Prospect. And that's a little bit up into the hills from Black River. Growing up as a child was very fun. You had so many things to do, people to play with. So we did enjoy our childhood. At the age maybe 10 to 12, I moved into Kingston because my mom was living in Kingston. Moving to Kingston, my life changed then. It was a big city. You were open to so many new things. And some of the new things that I was open to was friends. Some friends were good, some friends were bad. But at that point, I was more into the bad company than the good ones. So being in the bad company had caused so much ache to my mom. And at one point, I think it was too much for her to handle by herself. So she figured one way that she could try to help me to better myself in the way, because it was really going to a point that, yes, as a mom, I guess she had her hands off it. So I was put into the family court, or through the family court, I was put into the government institutions. I had been to maybe 3 institutions, Homestead Place of Safety, St. John Bosco in Mandeville, and then I was transferred to Alpha Boys School in Kingston.
Okay. And for those who may not be familiar with those institutions, so those institutions are for ungovernable teenagers.
It's all right, yes. Yes, out of all the places, Alpha Boys School was the one that had an impact on my life. It was run by the Sisters of Mercy. It was a Catholic school. And being there, I learned so much discipline, mentally, emotionally, and physically disciplined. That was one of their main point of getting you to be disciplined, not to put the blame on others for being in the situation that you're in, but to discipline yourself to take the responsibility that you were the reason why you are there. And the only way you can see through is to accept the changes within yourself
What
So
was
that
a
was,
typical day at the Alpha Boys School like?
it was getting up in the morning, doing your morning chores, going to school or going to a trade. You had to go to school. You had to learn. You had to learn to motivate yourself and motivate others around you. You had to learn to help yourself and also help others.
If
But
you,
yes, the change did come.
okay. If you could remember, how long were you there between all three homes? How long were you there?
Between all three homes, I was in maybe for 5 or 6 years.
Okay. So you would say that all your most your teenage years were spent in the institution.
Yes, Miss Clark.
Okay. Now, that is not the time that anyone would want to be away from home.
That's so
Were you
true.
ever angry at anyone?
I was angry during the court sessions because I never wanted to go there. So at that point, I was angry with my mom for trying to put me there.
Mhm.
But after getting there, you had to let go of the anger and take the responsibility of you putting yourself into that situation.
Great. So, your time spent there, how did it shape you to become the man you are today?
It did shape me by caring for myself. As okay, some of the rules were: do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Love one another as you would love yourself. So the things you would do for yourself is the same thing you should try to do for others. Or if you see someone doing something wrong, you should be able to know that that is wrong, and even to say to that person, hey, stop that, because that is wrong. Maybe I was in that situation too, and I have seen where that will take you.
Okay. Were there anyone in either of the institution that actually influenced you to change?
Yes, I would say, and always will say, thanks to Sister Mary Ignatius. She was the sister who ran the school at the time. And she was a woman of not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you didn't see yourself making it, she will always try to push you and know for you to say in yourself that I can do better.
Right.
And what the school motto also was, upward and onward we will go. So you should always try to take the step forward and not take the step backward, because upward and onward will take you to that limit that will put you in a peace of mind.
And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about Sister Mary and I wish we have so many more Sister Marys today, because sometimes us or even individuals who are working with, I would say, at risk or ungovernable, as we say, children, sometimes we give up a little bit too quickly. sometimes we actually just see what's on documentation and we don't try to actually get to know who that child is, get to the root of that child's problem, and actually try to assist. And sometimes we can't do the work that they need and able to make that change, but at least we can find someone else to do it. So on the behalf of a lot of people, I myself want to say thanks to Sister Mary. So at this point, listening to you, um, you have earned and you have learned and you have used what you were taught as a tool to apply to your daily life. Have since been released from the Alpha Boys School, you've been moving forward. Is it?
Yes, yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So, what are you doing now?
Presently, just taking care of the family, let the family feel loved, and also giving help when help can be given, and taking care when care needed.
So, what advice would you give to other young men? Other young men who are taking the path that you took, what advice would you give to them?
My advice would to be self-motivated, high self-esteem, and just know that a change for the better is always a good change.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want better, you will accept the change. And the change will come if you work towards it. It will.
And I know, just what advice would you give to parents, such as your mom, who was once in that position? Because I know it have to be very hard to actually walk away from your child, even though you know it's for the best. What advice would you give to parents?
My advice would, if you have a child who has entered such facility, you should always, on the visiting, all right, when they get the chance to have visiting, you should always go there to let the child still feel your presence as often as you can, or never missed their visiting days, because that's the time that they will look to say, hey, mom is coming today, and mom will be bringing me something, and mom will be, that will also motivate the child to know that you still is there with them and have not leave them out.
Okay. It's something, I'm telling you, it's really that great feeling to know that your parents is in your corner. Because even sometimes when we may be a little bit angry, but once we know that what they did is to shape us into becoming a better person, but the mere fact that they show up when it's time for them to show up really take us a long way.
Yes.
So it was a pleasure to have you share your story. And what do you see in your future?
The future looks bright, and still working towards a greater future.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I hope this will motivate someone to not allow their barriers to predict their future.